record button, and let's start with this week one discussion group. So obviously some very intense activity in the community. Some of you are still doing the some of the orientation week activities. That is fine. Each activity does build on the other. And in this case, the orientation week activities around SAF built toward the Community 1 assignment, which is due by the end of this week, as you know. So just to give you a heads up for participant presentations, I'll be inviting you to summarize your context, identify one of the 8 elements, and explain one action. So basically, some of you, actually a surprising number, have already completed the week 1 assignment, which involves doing that. So you're just going to get to practice orally and get feedback from your colleagues around it. So if you'd like to type into the chat window, if you haven't already, the city and country that you are connecting from today. So I'm actually in London today. Good to see Firas from Aleppo. All right, Noreen from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Raquel from Spain, Diane Leon from Lille in France. All right, and now Porto Royal near Grenoble, Spain, Seoul, Korea, Edinburgh, Scotland, Budapest, Hungary. All right, Putera, Malaysia. All right, Mikkel is also in London, Ouagadougou. The list goes on. This I just never get over how amazing this is to be able to connect in this way. I know we do it every day now, but still. So just a reminder of the weekly discussion group format. So there is a social time you're welcome to join before the session starts. This is the mandatory session, so I give you an update on the course, the feedback, in this case on the preceding week, on the orientation week, and then we move to participant presentations. So reminder, obviously this is not for you because you're here, but for those viewing the recording, you need to not just watch the recording, but actually complete the catch-up task. And thank you to the many of you who actually did it last week, even though there were actually very few of you absent from the discussion group. So let me just, yeah. So a reminder also about the Ryerson discussion group. So if you need to leave or something, you run into a technical issue, you do have that option of attending the Ryerson group 12 hours later. All right, so on the remote coffee reports, so many of you are still sending in these reports, and we encourage you to keep doing that and to stay in touch. Sorry for those of you who are disappointed where your colleagues did not honor the commitment they made by signing up for this course, but keep moving. If you have a buddy, you're encouraged to meet to discuss your case study, whether that's with your remote coffee partner, with people from your national societies, and actually maybe your team leader, if you are affiliated with one of these groups, will be getting in touch with you. So we've got great candidates, fewer than we expected in a way, but if there's no one from societies other than these who is willing to step up, that's okay. That's that should not discourage you from connecting with people from your ERU or from your society as well. And I think many of you seem to be getting the feel for what this peer learning experience is about, that it's not about what we transmit to you in terms of information and resources, even though there are many high quality resources that we're sharing with you. It's about the quality of the connections you make with each other, and that's something we do not control. And that's going to be up to you and to some extent your team leader. So if you filled out the team leader application form, we'll be getting back to you by the end of this week with sort of next steps for you if you are in this case. So orientation week feedback. We on the course team side, we were on the exercise team. We were amazed. First of all, within the first week of orientation, so by Saturday, 158 people had participated by posting comments, because you could not yet post updates, and altogether you posted over 500 comments. That's actually quite amazing. If you're familiar with many discussion forums or online courses, this is a remarkable level of engagement and activity and enthusiasm, and that energy, that very positive energy, was just palpable last week. So we wanted to thank and recognize the people who posted comments. last week, and the list is so long that, as you can see, makes for very, lots of tiny text on the slide. This group was also outstanding about completing onboarding tasks. So yes, we got 94 responses, so that's a very high number. Obviously, people who did not complete the onboarding tasks are less likely to complete the feedback form, but nevertheless, just have a look in the community, see the sort of intensity of activity is quite amazing. And that's actually my first point for the feedback, is don't try to read everything, all right? First, focus on getting your tasks done. And then once you're done with your stuff, with the time you have left, go and dive into the comments and now the updates. There are already, I think, almost 15 really amazing week 1 assignments that have already been posted in the WhatsApp group. Last night I shared the link to actually view these. We'll be sharing it sort of officially at the end of the week. Amazing stories and sort of thinking and analysis already that you'll be then now shifting attention to your case study to do in as you get started with your creator project. So we're surprised also orientation focused overwhelmingly on IT stuff, so how to, which buttons to push on the Scholar platform, but nevertheless, we did share some resources, and that's reflected here in what you saw as relevant at this stage of the exercise. This I thought was a really interesting comment where one person perceived what we've been thinking, which is, we try to recreate and model and simulate the real world whenever we can. And here you had a situation where you had, many different people, cultures, levels of experience. And again, I'm going to ask if you felt there were too many messages. Some people, if they didn't have that many messages, wouldn't make it. So out of, if you can tolerate, given that you probably have high IT or information management skills, if you can be a little tolerant and understand that some folks need more support, and we do try to target support, but that we can only do that so much. Next is the level of motivation, as you can see, is sky high for the for the 4 threes. Very specific sort of circumstances related to access difficulties, and we're going to reach out to some of the folks who gave us a feedback to see how we can provide sort of more targeted support. So one on motivation, as I said, sky high. But the reality is, and the third comment, if one works full-time and has kids, it's really difficult to find time for the course, even if you have the motivation. So we're well aware of that, which is why we build all this support and really call on you. If you are falling behind, you haven't started, and you're still here in the discussion group, you made the effort to attend the discussion group, that shows motivation. So don't suffer in silence. Reach out to Hannah, reach out to me. I've also offered to do individual one-on-one sessions. Very few people have requested time to discuss their project or to discuss specific issues. So in terms of the amount of learning time, I've got around 30% of you saying that you're spending more time than you're expected. Most are just fine. This is actually just better than just what we see in other exercises or courses during orientation week. How you organize your time, I want to emphasize here that I hope we were clear, that this was not a self-guided course. Also for people for whom checking in daily does not work, that's fine. It is fine to free up, as this person suggests, a high quality and high concentration 2-hour time slot a couple of times per week. Just go through and review the updates. But we do find consistently people who most consistently succeed in this type of exercise are the ones who do it day by day. But we also see many people who do really well and who organize their time differently. If you've only got time on the weekend, that's fine. Orientation, obviously on the easy side, which is reassuring, but the people who need that extra support on the very difficult side, that's kind of who orientation is for. We know some of you, we just send you, ask you to get into Scholar, join the community, and send you 3 lines in an email, and within a few hours you'd be on. All right. So orientation was not really for you, but we still ask you to go through the steps and to make sure everyone is on the same page by the end of the week. So in terms of difficulty, the excited, loaded, and ready was one of my favorite pieces of feedback. the call on the exercise team to help when you can't figure it out for yourself. So first, the implication is that you've tried to solve it for yourself. And the coffee partners, some of you have been reporting that, those of you who managed to connect with each other, that once you figured out, sorted out something in Scholar during orientation week, then yes, you share it with your partner. And again, here, a variety of feedback. Some people think it could be more simple, or it's sort of more complicated than it actually is. That's true. We really break it down because we know that there is a small but significant set of people who really need that level of support. And that last comment on demanding in the good way. We try to make things as clear as possible. We put a lot of thinking into how we do that, so we're always looking to improve. But globally, we're seeing overall that this level of support is required for a lot of people. Same on the amount of communication. So yes, it does settle down. We did tell you that all hell would break loose during week 1. We did tell you that it would be overwhelming in the beginning. It does calm down. It does become more coherent. So don't stick it out. Yes, it's really worth it to get to week 3, which only people who actually submit a draft case study will be able to participate then in peer review. So we will be fewer in numbers in week 3, but basically anyone who is willing to make the effort and to draw on their experience to write that case study, will be able to continue and progress through the rest of the exercise. In terms of support, this is the kind of feedback we like to see. Again, individuals, when we've got one person saying, okay, you strongly am not receiving the support I need, we'll be reaching out to them after this session. Resources. So the funny thing is, someone said, I miss having clear documents, but we actually share the Safer Access introduction document on day 1, and we also shared the link to the Safer Access ICRC website. So again, these updates, we don't put any fluff in there, okay? So every piece of information we give you, there's a reason for it. If you missed that we shared clear documents about SAF, then please pay more attention when you're reviewing documents. The thing about the peer system, so I don't remember if this is somebody who didn't manage to connect with their peers, but overwhelmingly the reports from actually being able to chat with someone else, have been extremely that's been an extremely rewarding process, as you can see in the next quote. So yes, a lot to take in, but we hope you appreciate, as this person did in their feedback, how, yes, we're trying to get different people with different levels of experience from different parts of the world with different levels of language proficiency in English, all on board. So with respect to orientation week, I hope that that we helped you get there as well. So now we are in week 1. What do you need to do? And again, if you're keeping up day by day and you're being diligent, some of this is going to be, you're going to say, why is he repeating himself? But believe me, for some folks, this is the sort of the reality check. Oh, this is what I need to do. All right. So we encourage you to get into the habit of checking every day. You won't need this briefer, but knowing that some of you haven't had the time, knowing that some of you don't like to read instruction manuals, here it is. So orientation day 5, many of you are still completing that because then you need to build on that in order to do the week 1 assignment. So 2 goals this week: complete your week 1 assignment and develop your case study draft. So don't neglect the development of the case study draft. You have received the first key piece of information, which is the rubric, which is also available in the materials in the control panel. So just a reminder, we're in week 1, week 2, which is, and that 4th of May deadline is coming very quickly. So do not delay writing, developing your case study until the 2nd or the 3rd or the 4th of May. Think about the commitment you've made to other participants in the course. Yes, and if people are going to be dedicating time to this, and you wait till the last minute, that'll probably, maybe you can produce an excellent case study in a very short time. That's up to you. But you kind of owe it to your colleagues, yes, to do a little better than that, if at all possible. We know some of you have circumstances and pressure and stress and a boss or just a family that might make it difficult to do that. We're aware of that, but yes, don't give up and do the best you can, basically. A question from Ran Veitness, any information on the length of the case study? No, but we don't want you to cut and paste stuff. That's not the point at all. We do want you to keep it short. Again, think about how long of a case study would you like to read? So sure, some people will sort of go overboard. And if you get one of those, the quality of the feedback you're able to give to somebody who wrote 20 pages, it's going to be hard to get quality feedback. So we don't give you a word count or number of pages, but be concise, be focused, and then use up however much time to do as good a job as you can. So some amazing week 1 community assignments have already been posted. The instructions, of course, you can find the full set of instructions you can find in the update. One key resource is during orientation. We asked you to ask your questions about the SAF, and Catherine Martin at ICRC answered 39 of those questions. So we should have said that there was a time element. So you may not have an answer to your question if you waited too long to ask it. But definitely at least review the answer to your question. And of course, there's some fascinating stuff to clarify exactly what is SAF and how it works, and just addressing your concerns. Very interesting stuff in there as well. And then yesterday you got the full rubric, so it's an 8-page document. It's basically 8 pages of guiding questions, with a structure of the case study assignments. So yes, this shows you kind of subway map or mind map. So if you like mind maps, you can actually find it in the resources and the materials. And just where I'm going to stop in this today is on the case study structure. So your project will have 3 parts. First is a context, then you describe what happened, and then you will be identifying SAF elements and proposing specific actions. So in the slide deck, which you can download, you'll find the criteria, and then in the full rubric, you'll find the detailed guidance and questions. So that's it for me. Let me get the participants. Let me get the attendees window up as well. Right. So now comes the time for me to call on volunteers willing to take up the challenge of presenting to the group. And we are 95 today, which is pretty amazing, and which actually corresponds to the number of people who made the effort of giving feedback. So that's a wonderful number of people to have online. And again, as you'll discover, use the chat. Typing in messages is a little more tedious, but that's the main way in which we can all communicate and all contribute to a discussion. So I'm just looking for the first person who is going to raise their hand. So you use the little raised hand icon, or just type into the chat that you'd like to present. All right, Gurudev and Tio Kwang Chen. So let's go to Tio. Tio, you'll need to now unmute yourself. Great. Yeah, that was.
Excuse me. Hi, Riza. I think I'm facing some technical problem lah. Not I always want to raise the hand, but the icons maybe got some problem.
Oh, so okay? Yeah. Do you feel ready to present?
No. So sorry for that. No. Technical problem.
All right. Okay. All right. Be careful with that. Yes. Raise hand. So Sule Maikudi, are you ready to present? And this time you will have 3 minutes to do so.
Okay. Good morning, all. I'm Sule Maikudi, the DM manager for the Nigerian Red Cross. On the issue of the SAF access, I made mention on the the insurgency in the northeast of Nigeria, whereby we have the Boko Haram crisis, and the National Society is the first responder. And I put the case study of 2014, 2013, when the actual operations was only the national societies are there with the number of high figures of those that need the services, and at that time the area are not safe. The national society has acceptance based on the safer access principles, and one of the challenge we found at that time during the operations was we did not do a real risk assessment, which is one of the key seven elements of the safer access. Uh, we have a very good external and internal communications, acceptance of the organizations, but the context and the risk assessment was actually missing at that time. But nevertheless, we did not have any challenge, and we responded effectively. And which I would love to share this experience with the whole team and how we succeeded during the operation. The operation lasted for more than 2 years, which we got support also from the ICRC and also from the IFRC. I think so far we look at the context and why we identify such element, and later on we have to think of how to improve on this element, especially on the operational security management for both the staffs and volunteers and also the expatriates. So far, maybe during the day, during the continuation of the project, I will be able to more elaborate on how we do and what what and how it was, how went well, what went well, and what went wrong to us more. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Sule. Can you, so the 8 elements is sort of step 1. Step 2 is to use identify specific actions that are that sort of are matched to the element you are referring to. So have you looked at the quick guide for the actions in relation to each of the elements of the Safer Access Framework? Because that is a key resource, and in your case study, what you'll be focusing on is actually the actions and contextualizing and explaining them. So whether that's in retrospect or whether that's looking forward to how you could improve.
Yeah. We look at the acceptance of the organization, which is also one of the first, and also acceptance of the individual, especially our volunteers, and also the identifications. Those are the 3 key that we looked on, and which we surely found and feel that yes, it's necessary for us to work at that time.
Okay. Great, thank you, Sule. You did have a problem with your microphone, so for future discussion groups, it may have been that you were blowing into the microphone as you spoke. So now, what we'll be doing next week, we'll add a layer to the participant presentations, which is that we'll be asking you, the group, to actually give your feedback using the rubric ratings, and then we'll be turning to participants to actually provide the peer review feedback that you would give to Sule or another presenter about their oral presentation. This week we're just focusing on the presentation itself. So Johannes Shad, one key issue is the risk assessment performance. I do think delegates and even PNS representatives are often lacking the professional background to really be able to perform a professional risk assessment. Also, this is not part of ERU training and not in the ERU HR roster. All right, thanks for that. And Donis, I'm from Malaysian Red Crescent. In here, we have a problem to another agency accepts us during a minor disaster, example, our Ministry of Health, because we just do first aid, not like them, do pre-hospital care at scene. Some of our team have advanced training for SAR, and we can do medical search and rescue. Matanda, great. Sule, the topic is very relevant. It's important to mention that ERU were also in the theater of this crisis. Yes, thank you for that feedback to the presenter. All right, Guru Dev has had her hand up for a while, so I've just sent you an unmute request. and we'll have just enough time to.
Sorry,
great.
I think that was a mistake. I am not ready for this today. Sorry, it was a
All
mistake. Yes, can take my place. Yeah.
All right, let's go then to Dave Luddington. Dave, how are you doing?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Remind us where you're connecting from, and then I will start Mr. Timer.
Good morning, Rhoda. Good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Luddington. I'm in London. The subject that I've chosen to write on is the Bangladesh Rohingya movement crisis, which I was on in the autumn of last year. My role was actually as fact logistics, which gave me quite a wide range of experience across what was going on at the time. As many of you will know, there were something like 600,000 migrants or people moved from Myanmar into the southeastern corner of Bangladesh around the southern area of Cox's Bazar. And what I found when I went there, with the intention of continuing to set up the logistics work that had been started by my predecessor and some other people who looked at logistics, was that in fact the reality was logistics had really not been set up, and that wasn't the fault of any particular individual there. It was simply that the logistics delegates that was expected out there weren't able to go. My immediate predecessor was there for 2 weeks only, but in that time was able to do a very good assessment that I was able to build on. So my concentration then was to work with the local IFRC-based logistics people and the other sectors in the PMO, the People Movement Office, in order to try and get the thing rolling a bit more effectively and efficiently. And other people might like to comment on whether that was ultimately successful. What I felt very early on in the whole thing was that there wasn't a structure that tied the whole operation together. People were working extremely hard in their own silos, but the coordination across the groups and across the sectors was not as good as I felt it could and perhaps should have been. And most of my work in the case study is going to focus on how that manifested itself and what I tried to do to fix at least the parts I could influence. But also now with SAF, thinking back on it, there are many things that actually organisationally could have been done better in terms of preparation and rollout. So looking forward to getting into it. And thanks for giving us the opportunity.
Great, thank you, Dave. So it sounded there like you had a mix of sort of concerns or issues related to the setup of the logistics and sort of broader coordination issues, and then specific safer access issues. So it'd be important to distinguish between those, obviously, and focus on the safer access dimensions in your case study. Though, of course, I'm sure the elements you mentioned, the are important pieces of context. So we are out of time. I'm sorry, Geneviève. I guess you can't hear this either. Geneviève is telling me that she couldn't hear anything today. Sue NYY, I would like to share our situation, which was what happened in 2014. Conflict time happened between two armed groups. At that time, we meet operational security risk management, and we did not cover RCV insurance for that. Some Red Cross volunteers were providing services in this situation. Actually, our Red Cross car was gunned, and finally one Red Cross volunteer died. From this, we got lessons, and later on that we care about Red Cross volunteer insurance and started Safer Access Framework with ICRC in Myanmar Red Cross. Just sharing with all of you, thank you. That's, yes, powerful and compelling national society experience. Dancing Kwang. So Alvin, as we know him from the ambulance exercises, says, Dave, looking at it, it's much more the internal communication than the external communication issue you're talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Anna Hackstrom, thanks for sharing FactLog that are talking now. I was in Cox in March, April, and I had the same perception about the lack of coordination several months later. Livon Abgarian, my identified element is related to acceptance of organization and individual. Can I discuss about language barriers of different volunteers from different ethnic groups and not able to communicate and understand the language of minority community, which may affect the overall acceptance? That sounds like a really interesting focus for a case study. My recommendation will be about recruitment of more local ethnic volunteers to increase acceptance. Yeah, so think also that at the end of the day, imagine a bunch of ERU people in an ERU training. Some of you know what you have been through it. You know, would they find your case study? Would the case study challenge their thinking, challenge them to go further, to think, yes, sort of outside the box, and to think about really what is going to be their relationship and how their behavior is going to impact yes, the operation, you know, even after they have yes returned home, really thinking about that level of responsibility. Eliette Garcia Fernandez says, sorry for not sharing today. I have a microphone issue and a breakfasting 2-year-old on my lap. All right, well, Eliette, I mean, wow, that's, you know, incredible dedication and commitment. I know how you know, demanding on attention 2-year-olds can be. And Kevin Lowe, we had been using this as a guideline in safety and security when we deployed for humanitarian work in 2013 in Lahad Datu intrusion. All right, folks, so this is the end of the session. We are not going to do today the extra technical support unless at least 5 people type yes into the chat box. Then I will stick around and review some of what's been happening in the community. So if you need, if you're feeling, you know, like you could benefit from having me show you what's in the tutorials and what's actually contained in the updates, all right, Johannes. And if you want to do it privately. Anyway, thank you for this session. Again, this was an information-packed session. This is all in part because so many of you gave us great feedback. We thought we would share and you know, and focus on some of the issues that you've highlighted. All right, Johannes, I see only one yes. So my suggestion would be to contact Hannah for individual support. And if you haven't been in touch before, he is extremely diligent about getting back to you and following up just whatever the issues are that you may be having. So yeah. All right, and thank you all for your dedication and the diligence you've been showing so far. That week 1 assignment, I hope you're finding it interesting. We'll be asking you for feedback on that at the end of the week, but you know, do try to follow the guidance. Some people started posting their entire case study. You know, some people are way ahead of the game. Again, this issue of being in a very diverse group and having some people who are way ahead and some people who are going to need more support. So we need you to show solidarity there. All right, Johannes, sorry about that, but we really want to focus, yes, our energy where it matters most. So let me give you Hannah's, I should have it memorized by now, Hannah's email, and I am going to unmute everybody so we get to make a lot of noise to end this session. And if you'd like to say goodbye to each other, this is your chance.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rida, and bye, everybody. See you again.
Okay, bye.
And Johannes, I just found finally, I should have this memorized by now. Is he gone already? Okay, he's gone. Yeah. I wanted to give him Hannah's WhatsApp number, but of course, I'm giving it for anybody who's left in the session. But great. Wishing you a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, whatever the case may be. And look forward to seeing those week 1 updates come in, and get ready because the next update is about actually getting that creator project started, which is more video tutorials, quick ones, and then the shortened version of the rubric for those of you who are finding the first, the full version kind of overwhelming.
وبابعثنا لكن صومالي انت ماركس كده ارجع صومال انت كل سنه تشبع جدا وحريف نكون هو يرمى جيرشكي لاني هخرج على خطا لما اخرج على الدكتور